Okay, imagine that it's a beautiful day, you are in a village, small village, and you are driving. You are driving a car on the main road of the village. It's a very long street, but quite narrow. There is a street light, the light is red, and you realize that you cannot slow down. You cannot even stop. You pass the street light, and you see in front of you, at the end of the street, at the very end of the street, 4 people standing. They are doing just some maintenance work. So you panic, and you feel desperate, because you know that if you don't stop the car, you're going to kill them. 4 people. You don't really know not to do it. You cannot stop your car because the brakes are not working. You cannot make any noise because the horn is not working. You can steer the wheel. That works. But you cannot do much with that because the street is narrow and very long. So, after a while, you notice that on the right side, there are some stairs. And you think, if I drive to the stairs, I turn on the right, suddenly I can drive my car on the stairs and I will save 4 people. The only thing is that on that stairs, sitting is a woman reading a paper. So you are there, you have just few seconds to make a decision. You can stay in the car, do nothing, and you know that you are going to the end of the street and you kill 4 people. Or you can turn right on the stairs and you kill that woman, but you will save 4 people's life. What would you do? I'm sorry? Nothing. So you take left. And what is going to happen? That you will die. Okay, that is an option. Thank you. And if you don't take that option, you still think that if you go straight, you can kill 4 people, and if you go right, you kill the woman on the stairs. What would you do? You would like to stop? Well, I know, it's just a way to, because life is about that. If we take a very simple situation, then it is difficult to make a decision, to understand how we deal with our ethics. But if you go through something very extreme, like life and death, when life is at stake, maybe it's easier to understand that it is not that easy, not even those situations make up a very good right thing, because we all want to do the right thing. So the option that our friend brought up is a very good option, but for now, just stick to those 2. What would you do?
Take right.
You would take right.
Straight.
Straight. Why would you take straight? And do we have a mic for the people here?
Wait. The mic is...
Okay. Thank you.
因为我是这样认为的，因为本来我这个车就应该是直着走的。
Because the original direction of this car is going straight.
如果我转的话，那我觉得是违背我最开就本来正常的，就这是一个结果的发生。如果我转的话，是我改变了另外一个结果，那我觉得那个是不公平的。
So this is kind of the 4 people's destiny, and if I change it to run over the woman, then it's unfair to that woman who is reading.
It is unfair to go to the woman reading, and it's fairer to go to the 4 people. Is that the thinking? Because that was the original direction. So changing direction is unfair. So changing destiny in some way. Yes? Okay. And you said that you would turn right. Why is that?
I don't know anything about the lives of these people, so at this point, for me, they're absolutely equally important. I don't think there's an unintentional or intentional killing. If you kill 4 people, you kill 4 people. If you kill 1 person, you kill 1 person. And I prefer to kill 1 instead of 4. If these are my only choices, I would always try to figure out a different way. If this is either 1 or 4, I would intentionally kill 1, rather than relying on fate to excuse myself for killing 4.
Well, it's a tough choice. First thing to say. And I was thinking that if you're driving on the street and there are people on the street working, they must be aware of the traffic. There's a red light, but it will be green in a minute, so they probably more aware of the car coming while they're on the street, and they might have the chance to notice me and to move than the woman who's reading a paper and does not expect me at all.
So you hope that they notice you coming and that they realize
I think
that you
of many
stop.
other options like handbrake and whatever, but yeah, I would go straight and try to drive around them. Or if I was on the street, I would be aware of a car coming, and I really, really hope that they're aware.
Okay, thank you. Well, the fact that we cannot count on that and the story is made up just to make the decision, but they don't know maybe that you are driving with no breakers. So anyone else? So, but you will stay straight and hoping that they move. Hold on. Hope they move. Who has?
Is there a way between the right and the straight? So maybe.
No, it's a narrow street and there are no other ways. Just those stairs. Okay, thank you. Now, same story, but you're not driving the car. You are on a balcony, overlooking the street. You are just there, it's a beautiful day, you're watching life passing by, and then suddenly you notice that there is a car coming. It's coming from your left. And it's very weird because it goes straight, and there is a street light, and apparently the light for the car is red, but the car doesn't stop. And it doesn't make any noise. There are only a few people on the street. You notice that. Then you look on the right, and you notice that at the end of the street, on the other side, there are 4 people working, doing some maintenance work. And you know what is going to happen. If that car doesn't stop, if nobody stops that car, they're going to die. So you really feel desperate. And you feel that something is going to be done. Then you notice that next to you, lie on the balcony, there is a very fat man.
Also, we are talking about some stranger that we don't know. What if the man beside us on the balcony is our father or someone related to us? So who can make this choice?
Thank you, that was the point. Thank you for making my point. Okay, so the whole thing is about how do we make a decision. You see, it was a very strange and unusual, probably extreme situation and story, but it is not that easy. You didn't decide, all of you, for the same option. So even when life and death are at stake, it is not that simple. And we are all good people, most of us are coaches, and my question now is, how did you make up your decision? How did you make your decision? Okay. So it depends on consequences. So if I go straight, there will be 4 people dying, and if I go right, I kill just 1 person. So if I do something or something else or nothing, consequences will be terrible. That is a way to make a decision. The other way you probably made, sorry about this, is the greatest good for the greatest number. So killing 1 is better than 4. That was a way. Another way is to make a cost-benefit analysis, cost-benefits analysis, and think, well, if I push off that man, it will be very difficult to explain to the police that I do something really bad, but it was for a good reason. So maybe it doesn't work, or maybe it could be a way, or I decide on the basis of an absolute universal value, which is life. Life is an absolute universal value. But though that value is common in different ways to all of us, while we were going through this story, we noticed that other values emerged. More specific, different, because those values are personal, and values and principles are not the same for everybody. So every time we make a decision, we need to take into account of all circumstances, of the all people involved in that specific situation. So, doing the right thing, that we all want to do, needs to think about everybody else's circumstances. So what was the real difference between the previous version and the second version? Somebody said that I was not driving. So if I'm not driving, I'm not really responsible. Really? But when you notice something that is going to happen, and we do talk about that in the war game, we are all involved. Once you notice something, in some way you have a responsibility. How many times we say, oh, things happen, bad things happen, I just look on the other side, it's not my opinion, it's not my business. But that is not always helpful for our world, for our community. When you see something, you are involved in some way. So sometimes we still feel responsible. Personal responsibility is a value. So life, somebody just ruined my old story as the first question, because he said immediately I go straight and I risk my own life, because that is the only way I can save everybody else. But I can tell you that this is the first time that somebody says that as a first answer. Usually the question is answered always through first option or second option, because it is about life. But whose life? My life or somebody else's life? So all people's life is worth it, dignity and respect. And we have to respect this fundamental right of every individual, which is liberty. Liberty and therefore autonomy. And when we think through our reasoning, which is something that everybody is able to do, we have the possibility to express our sense of liberty. Always. We can always find a way to act freely and choose freely what to do. There is a moment, and if you think about it, you agree probably with me, there is a moment very specific between any input we receive and our response to it. Between the input and our decision, our choice, and our action, there is a little specific moment. And I call that moment the liberty moment. Because we can always choose what to do. Always. Even in difficult situations, even in forced situations, we can always choose how to deal with that. That's our liberty. No excuses. So in that moment, we can freely decide how to act. And that is our peculiarity. So what about doing the right thing? And I ask a guy who's been thinking about that, who has been thinking a lot about ethics, Immanuel Kant. To act freely is not to choose the means to a given end, but to choose the end itself for its own sake. What does it mean? What do you think? To act freely is not to choose the... Thank you. So we don't follow a code of ethics because an association or some institution tell us that it's good to do it, but we do it, well, that should be the way we do it because we think it's right. And it's there, as you said, to make neutral guidelines available to everybody in order to make individual values in a way more universal, at least for that specific community. Okay? Now, in a coaching session, what do? I feel that we really honor the liberty and the autonomy of our client. Through the whole session, what we do, we focus not on our performance, but we focus on the experience and on the solutions of our client. So it's a lot to do with ethics, because what we do, we take into account all the circumstances of the people involved in the session. And in that case, if it is one-to-one, it's one person. If it's a team, it's a team. So us are just an instrument, a mean. So why is that difficult to move all that attention, that ethics, outside the session? Because we're all connected. It's very beautiful, and we heard about this in the day, yesterday and today. We all love the universe. We are all connected. And I remember once I was reading a beautiful poem by Emily Dickinson, and she used to say, I can embrace the whole universe. And I felt that way, and I said, yes, I'm so nice, I really have got so much love, I can embrace the whole universe. But how about loving just one person? That takes a lot. Can you really say that you love every single person you meet in your life? Everybody? It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Even here, it's not that easy. We are all different. We are all unique. All good intentions, all connected, all interdependent, but then human being. And human being is a value. And we are all connected. We, humanity, but still individuals. And individuals matter a lot. And no individual can be taken and used for the global need. So saying that killing one instead of four is a good way, maybe. But why? It still deserves respect and dignity. So, I don't have much time, so I want to close this little ethical thinking, and I hope we can go further with your own space or together. What I like to say that is, going back to our story, as we said, probably thinking about everybody else instead of us would be in a very good way. So we have to look into different perspectives, not just our perspective. That can help. That can help to make ethical decisions. That can help when we are in front facing difficult decisions, not just because life or death is there, but even daily life decisions. It's not always that easy. So maybe stepping into the coach position, that beautiful, strong, neutral position, we can go through a creative process of thinking and make the decision that we really think is the right one. Not just because it's written somewhere, not because it's good for us, but it's good because it's good for everybody else. Then, consequently, for us. So we all need ethics. Ethics requires thinking. And thinking is something that we can all do. And if we start thinking to others, we start a new way of thinking. And this new way of thinking has a lot to do with ethics. And it's a journey thinking. It's not just logic. It's a journey, physical and in some way spiritual. And we can all do it. All of us can do that. Thank you. If you have some comments or some questions or you want to say your word, we have, I think, 3 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes.
Just a quick comment on, I actually very liked your example with the cars, because you've probably heard about the Google cars that are self-driven. And one of the things that they do is they create algorithms on how these cars react when it's inevitable to have a crash and kill people. And they have algorithms, what to choose, whom to kill, if they have to kill. So it's very relevant. And there one of the question is, should the car decide to kill you and save 4 different lives? So it's getting even, in the next step.
It's not the car who is deciding. These are the people behind the software that decided in advance. So it's again no matter what.
Thank you. So if we are making the car together, maybe it will take ages before we decide exactly what to tell the car to do. It's not. Anyone else? Yes.
So I like your ethical challenge. I just want to bring it to a coaching scenario. I think we've heard of stories where, in the confession in a church and a priest, when the priest hears the story of someone confessing, I'm going to kill someone, there is a moral dilemma. So as a coach, I don't think someone's going to say to you, help me brainstorm how to kill my greatest enemy. But in a corporate position, I've had, help me brainstorm how to get rid of my greatest competitor. Now, where does the code of ethics tells us which way to go, and do you then say, this is a client that I will not coach?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's it's coaching business. So you know that the code of ethics doesn't apply. Somebody comes to you and say, could you coach more how to rob a bank or how to do something bad? You can say, well, I have to let you go, and I have also to call the police for that. So you're free to break, the agreement with the person. But in case of competition, well, that is your own ethics. It's the Weltanschauung, the way we look at life. There is not much, but I believe that there is a way to be competitive and there is a way to be a bad competitor. I believe, but then it's your choice.
No, I just want to say something about acting freely. For me, children always inspire me. For me, there's some incident happened in front of me with my son. Actually, it wasn't in front of me. It was my daughter. She's older than him, and then my son was like 8 years old, and he saw something in front of him that he couldn't stop himself, but acting freely and stopping this bad thing happening in front of him. It was a little girl, and her nanny was hitting her or shouting on her, like there's a violence in front of her. And he directly went there, and my daughter, because she's older, she has more filters, and she has more filters to stop him. She's thinking, critical thinking, and like, no, don't do that. She's very protective, but he didn't think about anything but to stop this. So he went there and he shouted and he stopped the nanny and he said, don't do this is wrong. He protected the little girl. So I think to act freely, we have to be inspired by the little creatures.
Yes, they are coaches, no? We were coaches when we were kids, and then life makes us different. So yes, we have inspiration from everywhere, from children, from angels in some way, because children are angels. And think about it. It's not always that simple.
When I was very young, maybe before the primary school, I remember, I had my very first ethic lesson from my grandfather. He was working for a bank, And I was writing with a pencil, which I found at home. He was so kind to me. He came over and he took the pencil from my hand and he said, you cannot write with this. He showed me the little writing like we have in this Harris hotel. It was the name of the bank. And he said, this belongs to my bank, and I can only use it to write the things for my bank. This was my very first ethic lesson, which I always keep. Last year, it was an interesting event. I was invited to give a speech about coaching at his bank. He passed away years ago. So I put that picture of him and the pencil and shared the story. I think we get some kind of very strong things from our families and our culture when we are growing up. And one more thing that you asked about, can we love people? Everybody knows about Rumi, and Rumi says we can love people because they have the essence of the universe, of the whole. So when I was giving a training, it was I think Model 3 somewhere in Europe a couple of years ago. One of the participants asked a question. She said, you are meeting with different cultures, different people. What are the differences in the people? And I said, well, of course we have different cultures, different languages, but when we look at each other's eyes, I see the same thing. So this is the love that we can really nurture when we really look at deeply and sincerely, authentically to each other's eyes.
Thank you very much. Yes, when I was saying that it's difficult sometimes to love just one person, because that's what happens. So if we open our heart and we accept what is there, we can make it. And yesterday you said something about the question, which is the question you want to look for. And you said how to deal with our ego. It's all about ego. So if we just let the ego on the side and we look into the other person with real, authentic curiosity, we can make the effort to accept whatever is there. Because it's not to do with them, it's to do with us, whatever we meet. So I hope you enjoy that. I enjoy your attention, your questions. I think we can go and maybe I can even get a coffee. So have a good day. Thank you. Thank you very much.